It was endearing. You wanted to root for the main characters, which is always something that I appreciate. Like they managed to get you behind a character that is not necessarily the most righteous.
Right.
What's up, everybody? I'm Rick.
And I'm Anna.
And welcome to a review of The Champ, a review that is part of our goal to watch every movie that was nominated at the Academy Award from 1927 to 2028. We've watched this movie, a 1931 movie recently, and now we're going to review it as we do with all of these movies. We're getting along pretty well in this goal.
Yeah, we're already doing our fifth year.
The fifth year of the Academy Award, so we already did 4 plus 2019.
Right.
So this is our 6th year that we're reviewing, but this is the 5th year of the Academy. Am I losing anyone?
It's in that picture that you're seeing on your screen.
Yeah, but we're getting along pretty well. This review, we're going to do it the same way we do all of our reviews.
Oh, I know how that goes.
Please enlighten me.
The first part of the review is going to be spoiler-free. We will discuss what our opinions of the movie and performances were without giving any spoilers. And the second part of the review is going to be more of an in-depth review where we're going to discuss certain plot points and scenes that intrigued us. We are not going to tell you the whole story necessary, but we are going to spoil the story for sure. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about the spoiler part. We will warn you before we get there, so you can watch the first part even if you don't want to get spoiled. That is safe.
And at the very end, we're going to do our ranking, because we've been ranking the movies from the 5th Academy Award. We're going to place this movie in with the rest of the list. If you want to get to the ranking and don't want to get through the spoiling part, there will be a timestamp in the description below. Before all of that though, let me just give you some general info about the movie. Right?
Okay.
Put us into the context a little bit. So this is an MGM movie, like a lot of those that we've seen. Came out on November 9th, 1931, directed by King Vidor. The movie stars Wallace Beery as Andy Purcell, or Champ, who also played...
Yeah, I don't remember. I did recognize him when I watched the movie. I know I've seen him before, but I don't remember.
It's Butch from The Big House.
Oh, right.
Another movie we've seen.
I see it now.
Mm-hmm.
I see it now.
And Jackie Cooper.
Who is Skippy.
Yeah, Skippy and Skippy.
But who is he in this movie?
In this movie, he is Dink Purcell. Irene Rich also plays a role in this movie. She is Linda. The movie was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, 1, 2. So, of course, it was nominated for Best Picture. That's why we watched it. Best Director for King Vidor. Best Actor. And Best Original Story for Franz Marion. Best Actor was Wallace Beery. It won 2 of the awards. So, Best Original Story, Franz Marion. And Best Actor, Wallace Beery as Champ. But, asterisks here.
Okay.
Frederick Mark also won the award for Best Actor for his role as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And to this day, this was the first and only ceremony in which there was a tie for Best Actor.
A tie?
Yes, because the Academy votes.
So they got an equal number of votes.
Yeah, and they both got the award.
Wow, that's a little bit shocking, no?
Yeah.
But I guess maybe there were fewer people back then voting, so maybe it was... the chances were higher.
This was the only time it ever happened.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think today would be possible.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine if it happened today.
Scandal. Scandal. Screenwriter Franz Marion wrote the title role especially for Wallace Beery. It's always interesting when a role is written specifically for an actor,
Yeah, those always come out so good.
General reception, when at the time the movie was released, critics criticized the film's lack of originality.
Really?
Oh, yeah. But loved the special chemistry between Beery and Cooper, which led to the 2 actors being paired up again numerous times in numerous movies. But here's the drama behind the scene.
Oh.
Cooper and Beery had no such chemistry off screen.
Really?
Cooper accused Beery of upstaging and other attempt to undermine his performances out of what Cooper presumed was jealousy. What a kid, and to have this kind of comment.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, was it him, or were there the people around him?
I don't know. But after the film's debut, Beery declared that Cooper was a great kid, but he would not work with child actors again. A promise that he broke within the year for the remake of Treasure Island, also starring Cooper.
Okay. It's always interesting to hear about how actors who perform so well together actually didn't get along.
They don't like each other in real life. Yeah. The movie was remade in 1952 as The Clown, which is a bit different because instead of a boxer, the main character is a washed-up clown.
Okay.
Yeah.
That changes a lot though.
Yeah. And it was remade again in 1979 as The Champ. So yeah, that's it for the info that I have for now. So let's go into a spoiler-free discussion. First of all, Anna, can you tell us, did you like this movie?
I did actually, and I'm surprised that critics had that opinion that it's not an it lacks originality, because I think it's pretty original.
You think?
Yeah.
I knew I would end.
I mean, yes, but I feel like I knew how it would end because we've seen it so much ever since this type of a story.
I don't know how much it had been done before too. You know?
I don't know, because we haven't seen anything like it before.
But we started in 27. Maybe movies before did that same kind of.
Yeah, it's possible. Even so, I don't know. I felt like it was a good story.
Oh yeah, I was definitely entertained. It was a nice movie. I'm totally agreeing with a lot of the critics here that they had a chemistry, both Cooper and Wallace, even though it seems that it was only on screen and not off screen. But you could tell like that they seem to care about each other.
Yeah, it really seemed like that. They seemed like they were best buddies.
Yeah, and it was endearing. You wanted to root for the main characters, which is always something that I appreciate in movies when like they manage to get you behind a character that is not necessarily, the most righteous.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's always interesting.
Yeah, that's true. It's I feel like it's best when they build a character that has like different angles, that feels like very human.
Yeah,
but still makes him a very likable character.
So let's deep dive into it a little bit. What did you think specifically of the performances?
I thought the performances were great. I already saw Cooper before, and I thought he was very good. I think he really worked on his crying techniques.
I don't think he was all there here.
He wasn't all there yet, but I feel like it was. I could see an improvement.
Yeah.
I could see an improvement.
Keep working on it though.
Yeah, he needs to keep working on it, definitely. As for Wallace, I think he did a really good job making the character feel very real. And I feel like it's very important for this type of a character, because if he doesn't feel real, you wouldn't like him.
Yeah.
For me, it was like that, because he feels very real, I could like him. All of his issues, all of his problems, all of his character flaws, I could accept them because they felt very real.
Wallace definitely the highlight for me. Cooper was also very good, but mainly in scenes where the emotion wasn't sadness. I gotta say, you say he improved his crying technique, maybe, but I don't think it was there still. I think a lot of the time when he was sad, it took me out of it. I'm like, you're acting so much right now,
Probably, because you have to imagine, right? Like a kid on a set filming a movie, he's excited, he's probably having fun. He's not sad.
Yeah.
And it's hard to act
to get that emotion. Even for adults, it's often difficult to portray sadness.
Right.
In a movie. So it's something that is not easy to do, but here I could definitely feel him struggling, and he cries a couple of times in the movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone else is kind of just second fiddle, just background characters most of the time. It's really their story to the two of them. I added Irene Rich in there because she plays an important role in terms of the story, but she's not there that often.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I feel like some of the supporting actors, not all of them did a great job. I feel it's a little bit like another movie we watched on this year nomination list, Aerosmith. Yeah, where I felt like some of the supporting actors
the extra were a bit
exactly those that really don't appear much. It's just one scene here and there, but it's enough to kind of bother you a little bit when you watch that scene.
In terms of the story, what did you think?
I actually thought it was a very nice story. I mean, it's like you said, and maybe that's what the critics were talking about. I could see where it was going.
Yeah.
It's kind of an obvious ending, but nonetheless, I feel like the roller coaster to get there it's a ride that's interesting enough.
I had a hard time debating whether or not the ending was predictable, because I predicted it. And so was it predictable, or was it just the logical conclusion to the story they were telling. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, was there no other way this could have ended, or was it just like they told me through their storytelling, like, oh, this is how it's gonna end, you know? I don't know. Though I do feel like towards the end, like the big third act, they made it very obvious that this is what was going to happen.
They made it obvious there. But again, I feel like I wouldn't say it lacks originality, because it's the same thing like when you tell a love story. It's a love story told over and over again, but it's like the things that you spice it up with that makes it an interesting story to follow.
Yeah, you put your own touch into it.
Exactly. And I feel like this movie did that. Like you got enough interesting plot points and little twists here and there.
Yeah. But again, it's hard for us to say whether or not it was original.
Yeah.
Because we weren't living at the time. You know?
Exactly. We're not sure if this story was told before.
Yeah. For all we know, there could have been 10 movies that same year that had that story.
True.
We don't know.
That is true. Yeah.
And in terms of the look and sound of the movie, what would you say?
I thought it looked pretty good. Again, I don't feel like we saw anything strikingly amazing in terms of like the technology, the sound quality, the visual quality, the video quality. But I feel like it was good. It was done well enough.
I can't wait until we get out of that whole thing, and I feel like we're gonna be there for a lot of years still, where in action scenes they just speed up the
Oh my
film.
god, yes. That's true. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Because at the end, where there's that big action piece, and it's just sped up the entire time, it looks goofy.
Yeah,
you know?
it does.
And it's supposed to be serious, but it looks goofy.
I guess maybe it looks goofy to us now. Today, it's kind of like a parody of old movies. You'll do those.
When they do that,
Yeah, exactly. Like those sped up scenes.
Yeah.
So-
Or in slapstick comedy, like Mr. Bean or something, they would do that, you know.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe back then people didn't think of it as being goofy.
Yeah.
I wonder what was the reasoning behind it though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, was it because they thought, oh, this is an action scene, like people will get bored if they see this for too long?
Yeah, it needs to be moving, you know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Because if you think about it today, they usually slow down a little bit on action scenes. Not in the sense that they slow down the movement, but that, like they take different angles, like really close-ups, you know,
But
take
I
their
think
time to
that
show
might be
this.
part of it. A lot of the action is done through editing and camera work, and I feel like maybe they had less resources back then, not only in terms of editing, but in terms of like having 12 cameras to shoot from different angles.
Yeah, it's possible.
And then you can just cut between the different two, give the impression of movement and of action without having to just speed things. So yeah, now let's get into our spoiler discussion. If you don't want to get spoiled, I invite you to like this video and come back for our next review, or check in the description box below to skip to the ranking. Now, for spoilers, first let's give a short synopsis of what this movie is. One line: an alcoholic ex-boxer struggled to provide a good living for his son. That is it. Pretty much the movie.
That's pretty much the movie, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just piggyback on the conversation we were having a few seconds ago about that final action scene. It's the box match, the big boxing match, which gets really dramatic towards the end. The kid is scared for his dad, and he's trying like everything that he can to, you know,
not let his son watch him lose.
Yeah, exactly. And then you watch the fight itself, and it's just like an accelerated motion.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, oh my god, like, there's a disconnect there, totally.
Yeah, sometimes you can see, you know, like someone lands a punch or something, and then they return to normal speed, and he's like, you know, it's because he just took a big hit.
Yeah.
And then they go back into it, like it's weird. It's a weird transition between them.
It's goofy, and this is how they were doing it at the time. So we're gonna be in this for a bit of a while still, but every time I see it, it's always a bit jarring, and especially here where the scene was especially supposed to be
like really dramatic and you know, with emotional
and intense. Yeah, the ending, that we both predicted, he dies at the end, and the kid ends up with his rich mom. I feel like that's why I was saying earlier, it was the logical continuation of the story they were telling, because I even thought at one point, like, if it doesn't die, it's a bit too mushy, it's a bit too
like what else could happen
there. But if he does die, then we all predicted it, and so the movie is put in this weird box, you know, where what could they have done really? And is it because of the way they told the story?
They could have done other stuff.
Yeah.
I felt for a minute there, going back a little bit to the scene where he ends up in jail. I thought
the dad ends up in jail.
Right, the dad ends up in jail, and then the mom takes the kid. I thought maybe that would be the ending. For a minute there, I thought like, oh, maybe this is how it ends. Because it could have ended like that. Like his life is over. He has no way out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the kid has to move on. But then, you figure out quite quickly that that's not actually where it ends, because then they move on to the next scene.
Yeah, and the kid escapes. And goes back to his dad.
So then, okay, but I thought that could have been an ending also.
Yeah. What if the ending was just them going back to their status quo though? Like, would that have been interesting?
It would have. It would have made it a little bit melodramatic.
Yeah.
I feel it would have been possible.
Mm.
And I'm telling you why. Because of the mother's character, Linda. When the kid runs away from her and goes back to his alcoholic dad, because he loves his dad, right? Then she says, or actually her new husband says, oh, it's all right, we understand, we can't do anything to take the kid. In the end, he wants to stay with you, so we give up. And it feels like once you said that, you have to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said it in such a way that it made me feel like, oh, maybe the kid shouldn't actually end up with them.
Yeah.
You know?
But
and then seeing him and his dad actually his dad trying to get his life straight so that he can support his kid. I feel like that would have been a good ending. It would have been
but what I mean is that if he loses and then he just ends up back with the kid in the same situation they were at the beginning of the movie, would that have been
yeah, because it would have been a story of like growth for the both of them, but maybe mostly for the dad. Mm-hmm. Like he had to go through this like stage of life, through these certain events in order to set himself straight. Yeah.
So he's not drinking anymore. He's not playing dice anymore.
Yeah.
Even though he lost, he doesn't have the money. They're still poor. But there is a learning curve here. The character has evolved. So maybe that would have been a more original.
Less predictable ending.
But they really telegraph it there towards the end, you know, with everyone telling him, be careful, your heart is bad, your health. And then,
when they start talking about that, when the doctor starts telling him like, oh, be careful, your heart can't take it that much more doing all these things, I was like, oh, he's gonna die for sure. Like, it's 100% sure.
Another big element, of course, was mentioned a lot of time in our trivia discussion, the chemistry between the two characters, the dad and the son, Wallace and Cooper. What did you think of it? There is a lot of scenes here to pick from, but
you can definitely feel it in, like you said, in a lot of the scenes that we've watched. I particularly remember the moment when Ding prepares to visit his mom, and his dad, like, you know, dresses him up, tells him how to behave well, how to behave like a civilized boy, something like this. He says, if I'm not mistaken. I could really feel it there. The way he was talking to him, the dad, the way he was talking to him, and like the way they were interacting in those scenes. Like the kid was kind of like didn't really want to, but he would listen to his dad, you know. Like, oh, okay. I felt like it worked so well. And it's not a big event, if you think about it in the movie, but like the way they played it, as I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is pretty good.
Definitely agree. And you could feel for the kids a lot of the time, and a lot of the scenes. He takes care of his dad as much as his dad takes care of him. In that sense, the bond that they had, you were kind of rooting for the dad, even though you could feel like, oh, the dad is probably not the best father or environment for this kid to grow up in, but they have such a strong bond that you don't want it to be broken, even though it's obvious he would be better off with his mom.
Yeah.
You know, she seems to be a very nice, loving, even the father-in-law, they both seem very nice. She's rich. It was exactly as I was saying at the beginning, whatever movie can make me take the side of the less righteous character, I think you've done something good.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other element that you want to touch on? No?
No, not really. Yeah. No, I think I'm good.
So just to reiterate, you would recommend this movie?
I would recommend this movie, yes.
Yes. I would too, yeah. It's a nice ride. If you don't mind that we spoiled it all. Now let's get to our ranking. So the current ranking is Aerosmith first, Bad Girl second. And so we had a third movie here, The Champ, Where do we put the champ?
So where do you put the champ?
I would put the champ at number 2.
Oh.
At number 2, but yeah, I would put it at number 2.
Well, that's interesting because I would have put it at number 1.
Number 1?
Yes.
Oh, above Aerosmith.
I feel like it was better in like enough elements that I would put it higher than Aerosmith, yes.
Yeah? Can you make a case for it?
I wonder, can I? Okay, I'll try. So I feel like, first of all, the main actors, did a much better job than like the actors in Aerosmith in general. Even if I did like the main actor in Aerosmith, I feel like the others around him were not as convincing. Whereas here, because we have the story of these two characters, and it's mostly them that we see, I feel like them doing such a good job, it pretty much made the movie for me. And secondly, I actually think that the story, like I said before, it feels much more real. And that's also a big point for me. I feel like a story that feels so realistic is just, I don't know, it's easy for me to relate, exactly. I mean, I can't really relate to his character, obviously, but I mean, it feels like it's something that could happen in the real life of someone. Yeah, I think those are the two main reasons why I would put it higher than Aerosmith.
I would say because the fact that you could kind of tell where the movie was going versus Aerosmith, where it took a few turns where I never even expected. I thought the movie was this thing, then it turned that way. Then I thought the character were going in that direction, and they went in another direction. So that kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time, which makes it a bit more memorable for me. And so that might be why I'm putting it above. But is it better or is it just more memorable? Like, I'm wondering. Aerosmith is definitely a one-man show in terms of like...
That is true.
The main actor. So the champ. You know what? I'm gonna go with you. They're close enough, and I could see the argument being made for the champ. But they're close enough in my mind, I mean, and I could see the argument being made for the champ. So I'll go with champ. And so our new ranking is the champ number 1, Aerosmith number 2, and Bad Girl at number 3. So that was it for our review of the 1931 movie, The Champ. Don't forget, this review is part of our bucket list goal to watch every movie that was nominated at the Academy Award from 1927 to 2028. This goal is not the only goal in our bucket list. There is 101 goals and dreams in that bucket list. If you want to check some of those out, please subscribe to this channel. There's a lot of things in there: cooking, traveling, playing games, watching movies, watching anime, doing sports, lots and lots of different stuff. Something for everybody. Check it out. Subscribe if you like. Like this video if you like. Comment in the comment section below. What did you think of The Champ? Did you think it was non-original, not original? Let us know, and have a nice day.
I'm gonna lay off the booze. Word of honor. I'm not gonna gamble anymore. Did you hear what I said, Dink?
Yeah, I heard you, champ.